Hi there, my lovely students. This is your teacher, Ms. Cahill, and today we're going to talk about the definition essay, okay? A definition essay defines a word, term, or concept in depth by providing a personal commentary on what that specific subject means. Most physical objects have a definition in which most people agree. For example, you will probably determine that this is a pen. The definition of this is probably not going to change from person to person. You'll probably decide that this is a finger. That definition will not change from person to person. Why? Because these objects have specific physical properties that most people agree on and use their senses to define. Okay? But when we are talking about the definition essay, we usually talk about abstract terms such as love, pain, racism, happiness, joy, frustration, politics, things of that nature. Okay? These words have different meanings to different people. The meanings are subjective. Okay? And one would define those terms in so many different ways, okay? So you have to use more than your physical senses to define those terms, and those terms make for good definition essays in the future, or good subjects for definition essays, okay? So the definition essay provides a personal extended definition of those terms by linking and comparing them, analyzing them, and illustrating how the terms should be applied, or how that term should be applied. Okay? So when setting up your definition essay, you are going to make sure that, number one, you brainstorm. Brainstorming meaning take the subject that you plan to write on and write down all of the ideas surrounding that term. Use a thinking map such as a bubble map. So write the subject in the middle, and on the outer bubbles, whatever you can think of that relates to the term, because you are just really merely emptying your brain at that moment. After you open your mind and empty your brain, you're going to decide on an outline or how you're going to set your paper up. Now, this is totally on you. However you set up your essay is dependent on how you choose to define the term. So usually we always start with an introduction, and in the introduction a lot of times people give background information about what it is that they plan to define. And in the conclusion, they summarize. But the body paragraphs, whoa, that's all about how you decide you want to approach the definition of a word. So, let me give you some examples of what you can use, or how you can, what you can use, okay? So, maybe in one paragraph you want to talk about the process or the function of whatever it is you're defining. Okay? Explain what something does or how it works. Maybe you want to use a paragraph or two to talk about how something is structured. Tell how it's organized or put together. Maybe you want to talk about or define and analyze it by comparing the term to other members of its class, or illustrating its differences to everything else. So, for instance, if you were defining dog, maybe you would do an analysis of a Siberian Husky to a pit bull, okay? A comparison contrast, okay? Classification. Maybe in one paragraph you would talk about the dictionary definition and what classes the subject belonged to. Meaning, if you were to define a cat, then the class that a cat belongs to, of course, is a feline. Okay? Okay, and then you might talk about what a feline is. I'm not sure. But if it has something to do with helping you define what a cat is, of course, it's dealing with classification. In one paragraph, you might do a comparison. In all paragraphs, you will give facts and details, okay? In one paragraph, you may want to talk specifically about physical characteristics, traditional thoughts, and other distinguishing attributes about the subject. Another paragraph you may consider writing on your definition essay is one chock full of incidents and examples. Narrate illustrations that can clarify a group, theory, or object, okay? One paragraph might deal with negation, meaning that you need to mention what this object or whatever it is you're defining, mention what it is not, and be clear on what it is. So mention what it's not and explain why it's not that thing, and be clear on what it is. So if you were defining love, you would probably talk about what love is not for an amount of time. Okay? And that would help people understand what it is. Okay? In one paragraph, you might want to discuss something's results, effects, and uses. Discuss the consequences of using something. Like if you were to use a definition essay on drugs, okay? Discuss the consequences, the effects, and uses, okay? So again, you have so many ways or so many avenues you can go with a definition essay. Again, definition essays are subjective, which means the meaning comes from you. You're gonna take the denotation and add your connotation, the ideas and feelings surrounding the word. You're going to make sure that, again, step 1, you brainstorm. Step 2, organize your information in a writing outline. How are you going to approach this essay? Are you going to start with the history or background of the word that you're going to define? Are you going to talk about its structure, its process, its classification? Are you going to compare it to something? Are you going to talk about its cause? Are you going to make sure you give examples? Okay? Are you going to talk about its results, effects, uses, negation, etc.? Okay? So you have to decide that. All right? Moving right along. In your conclusion, make sure you review your definition's main points and have a closing attention getter. Meaning you might want to reference back to the opening attention getter in a way of unifying the entire essay. And you might want to close with an explanation of how this definition has affected you. Okay? For instance, if you define love at the end, you might explain how love has affected you in some kind of positive or negative way. I think if it's love, it should be positive, right? Who knows? All right? So at this time, this is the end of my lecture. If you're in class right now, I'll be giving you an example definition essay. And if you're merely watching this on YouTube, you may log on to, well, for now, I guess you can just stay right here. And under this video, there'll be a link to an example definition essay, or you can feel free to Google your own and make your best judgment on whether this is one that you want to roll with, okay? But in the meantime, students, sit back and relax, and now you're going on to the next activity. Thank you.